screen is black. A single heartbeat echoes, slow, deliberate, in that darkness. You sense your own pulse, your life's tempo pounding like a silent drum inside a cathedral of possibilities. Then a voice rises. As steady as a sunrise, you imagine a world that bends when you speak, not because you shout the loudest, but because your words strike the deepest. That world is not fiction. It is the quiet reality mastered by those who understand one truth. People move when they feel seen, valued, remembered. Dale Carnegie whispered it almost a century ago. A person's name is, to that person, the sweetest sound in any language. And tonight we transform that whisper into a thunderclap. And tonight we carve every syllable of your voice into steel so sharp it cuts through apathy, doubt, and the endless scroll of a distracted planet. You will not merely speak, you will summon actions. Mindset is the gatekeeper. Stand before it and you see two doors, comfort and courage. Comfort is velvet-lined, seductively silent, and utterly forgettable. Courage creaks when pushed, but it opens onto horizons so wide they make the heart race. Abraham Lincoln once drafted a blistering letter to a stubborn general, a letter so fierce it could have scorched alliances. Or instead of sending it, he folded it, placed it in a drawer, and wrote across the envelope it never sent, never signed. Lincoln's restraint was not weakness, it was the mindset of mastery. He knew that influence is built on bridges, not on ashes. So decide here and now to guard your mind from the impulse of instant release. Hold your fire until it is aimed at progress, not pride. Belief is the forge where raw iron becomes a blade. Charles N. And Schwab walked through a Pennsylvania mill one night and found steel workers wary, sparks dying. He chalked a giant 6 on the floor. That's how many heats the day shift's finished, he said, then walked away. The night crew burned to beat that number, and did. Schwab believed people could be sparked not by orders, but by challenges that honored their pride. Believe in the dormant fire inside every person you meet. Act enthusiastic and you will be enthusiastic. Show belief and you will birth belief in others. And Satya Nadella revived Microsoft by replacing cutthroat silos with empathy, proving that when leaders listen, innovation speaks up. Clarity and vision are the twin lenses that turn belief into a beam capable of slicing steel. Picture Andrew Carnegie standing on dirt, eyes fixed where others saw only empty sky. He outlined an empire of rails that would bind a continent. And now zoom forward to a teenager on TikTok who knows precisely which story arc, which camera angle, and which 3-second hook will stitch millions of viewers into rapt attention. Different centuries, same principle, and people rally behind a vision they can picture before it exists. So paint yours in colors bright enough to outshine doubt. Name it, date it, describe how it tastes, how it smells, how it will make another human being's day easier, kinder, richer. Vagueness kills momentum, specificity ignites it. Purpose is the heartbeat that keeps clarity alive when storms roll in. Ask Netflix why they invite employees to tear ideas apart in public forums. The answer is purpose, creating a culture where feedback is oxygen, not poison. When your words carry purpose, and they transcend persuasion and become invitation, you are no longer selling a point, and you are enrolling allies in a cause that ennobles them. Remember Carnegie's second law of winning friends. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than in 2 years by trying to get people interested in you. I dig for another person's goals as a miner digs for gold, and purpose will weave your story into theirs. Discipline and action are the hammer and anvil on which grand intention becomes tangible result. The finest speech means nothing if it never leaves your lungs. Schedule your calls, draft your messages, rehearse your pitch until the words glide like water over marble. TikTok creators post at precise hours. Analyze retention graphs frame by frame. Iterate until engagement curves climb like rocket trails because discipline is freedom wearing work boots. And remember, act enthusiastic and you will be enthusiastic. Most first, emotion follows. Resilience and adaptability are the storm sails that keep progress alive when the sky fractures. In 2008, a director at Nokia declared, "We didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost." They forgot the Carnegie creed: people change, adapt, or languish. When a plan shatters, speak not of blame, speak of next steps. Praise initiative, not just victory, and watch teams rebound like tempered steel. If criticism comes, convert it into cooperative energy. Ask, what can we learn? Speak the language of growth, and walls fall. Learning and growth form the river that never sleeps. Drink daily, read a line, listen to a mentor, dissect a failure. Hold curiosity like a compass. Your vocabulary shapes your influence. Widen it until you can navigate boardrooms, classrooms, and living rooms with equal elegance. Gratitude and fulfillment seal cycle. Influence without gratitude becomes manipulation. So praise openly, specifically. Immediately praise the silent victories, the unseen effort. Remember Carnegie praising a steelworker for the shine on his shoes, and that small sparklet loyalty brighter than any paycheck. A gratitude is the echo that keeps your name resonating in rooms long after you leave. And now the climax gathers like thunder at the edge of the horizon. You have felt the pulse of mindset, the heat of belief, the laser of clarity, the drum of purpose, the march of discipline, the flex of resilience, the flow of learning, and the soft glow of gratitude. All roads converge on this single command: speak, so people listen and act. Your next conversation is the stage, your next listener the turning point. Breathe, step forward, and then let every word you utter tonight become the spark that sets dormant hearts ablaze. Feel the oxygen flood your lungs as you straighten your spine. In that subtle shift of posture, destiny takes new shape. Picture yourself walking into tomorrow's largest meeting, lecture hall, or family dinner carrying two invisible gifts. The first is a relentless curiosity about the person across from you, and the second is the discipline to demonstrate that curiosity before a single syllable leaves your lips. And Dale Carnegie called it becoming genuinely interested. Modern neuroscience calls it activating the brain's social reward circuitry. Whatever name you stamp on it, one fact remains. And when you look someone in the eye and ask a question that digs beneath their res summa and into their story, and their pulse quickens, and so does your influence, you already know their name is their private sunrise. Use it like dawn breaking over a tired city. Whisper it when you greet them. Thread it naturally through conversation. Close with it like a seal on warm wax. Keep it unforced, sincere. A salt breeze, not a hurricane. A name recalls a person's childhood, their lineage. Every triumph and heartbreak stitched to that sound. Treat it carelessly, and you trample on sacred ground. And honor it, and you unlock vaults of goodwill money cannot buy. Now watch how belief ripples outward. There is a reason Charles chalked 6, ignited the night crew. Humans crave scoreboards that celebrate their capacities, not their inadequacy. Set achievement bars that honor someone's latent greatness, and they will leap like lions released from cages. If you manage a team, start tomorrow by highlighting one unnoticed victory each member delivered this week. If you manage only yourself, list the micro-victories that proved you stronger than yesterday. Momentum is belief's favorite melody. Play it daily. Clarity sharpens belief into a spear. Write your vision in plain ink tonight. Read it at dawn. Then again at dusk until it steams off the page and into every gesture you make. Walt Disney sketched castles on napkins decades before they pierced Florida's humid sky. You need not build kingdoms of concrete, and build kingdoms of connection. An single barista who greets 40 commuters by name transforms a coffee shop into a sanctuary where weary souls remember they matter. And that is leadership without a title, and its echo reaches farther than any billboard. Purpose changes ordinary conversations into pilgrimages. Imagine you run a startup designing solar lanterns for rural villages. You're pitching investors. You could recite margins and market size, or you could describe a 7-year-old girl who will read under clear light for the first time, and her future widening like the Milky Way overhead. One approach informs, the other converts indifference into fervor. When purpose speaks, wallets open, schedules shift, armies of volunteers appear. And purpose is the magnet that pulls humanity's moral compass toward yes. Discipline advances purpose from poetry to hard pavement. Andrew Carnegie reviewed handwritten ledger books nightly, scanning thousands of figures until dawn's first whistle. He was already a titan, yet nothing outranked the ritual of numbers, because numbers were the pulse of his empire. And what is the non-negotiable ritual that keeps your dreams pulse strong? Schedule it, guard it, and engrave it into the iron gates of your calendar. Discipline is love wearing armor. Prove your love through repetitions. Inevitably, storms come roaring. Resilience is the art of treating downpours as rehearsals for greatness. Picture Satya Nadella in 2014, steering a bruised Microsoft into cloud wars it was predicted to lose. Instead of blame, he spoke of growth mindset. Echoing Carnegie's eternal note of criticism is a mirror, not a hammer. I embrace feedback like high-altitude winds that teach a falcon new drafts on which to soar. When markets shift, algorithms change, or pandemics empty streets, become the adaptive leader who said, we bend, we do not break. Learning is the lifeblood of that adaptability. In the time it takes to scroll past a social post, you could store one new synonym, one fact about hydrogen engines, one statistic about mental health, each a seed for future conversations that unlock doors. And carry a pocket notebook or an app where stray insights land before they evaporate. Read biographies, not summaries, because inside the unedited chapters of another life you'll discover the detours, debts, and doubts polished TED Talks leave out. Gratitude seals all these elements into enduring legacy. Recall the scene. Carnegie visits a mill at midnight and thanks a sweeper for the cleanliness of the exit ramp. That gesture, trivial to outsiders, echoed through the workforce for weeks. Gratitude does not whisper, it reverberates. Start each encounter by catching someone doing something right, and each day listing 5 people whose unseen labor propped up your own. Gratitude is the lubricant that keeps influence from grinding into manipulations. You have now traversed the 8-fold path of persuasive power. Mindset lit the torch, belief fanned it, clarity aimed it, purpose hefted it high, discipline marched it forward, resilience protected it against gales, learning fed it fresh oxygen. Gratitude cast its glow over everyone within reach, but torches exist to ignite other flames. So here is the decisive moment. And send the text of thanks you keep postponing. Draft the initiative proposal you fear might flop. Walk into your child's room, a colleague's office, a stranger's timeline, and begin with their name, their dream, their worth. And then issue the challenge that turns listeners into co-architects of tomorrows. Because the heartbeat you heard when the screen first darkened is still drumming, and seconds are slipping like water through clenched fists. Open your hand, release your words, shape the world. Speak so people listen and act. The camera drifts across a city skyline at midnight, skyscrapers blinking Morse code dreams into the clouds while the voice resumes. Lower, steadier, like a tide returning to claim the shore. You have spoken a single sentence, and somewhere a stranger's eyes lifted from a glowing screen because your words felt carved for them alone. And do not underestimate that moment. It is the embryo of revolutions. History is a long necklace of private turning points. On Rosa Parks shifting 6 inches on a bus seat, Nelson Mandela rehearsing conciliatory phrases in a prison yard, a young Steve Jobs asking one last time, but what if the circuit board were beautiful? Your next conversation might thread another bead onto that necklace if you approach it as an artist, not a opportunist. So, before dawn stretches her pale fingers across the horizon, rehearse. Rehearse not for perfection, but for presence. A walk the length of your apartment delivering tomorrow's key points to the silence. Silence will tell you where the vowels stumble, where the cadence gasps. Record yourself. Listen with Carnegie's empathy, imagining how each phrase lands in a listener's chest. Eat it merciless. A sculptor chips away everything that is not the statue. A speaker chips away everything that is not the pulse of truth. At sunrise, prime your mindset with small acts of courage. Take an icy shower. Greet the doorman by name. Send a voice note of gratitude to a mentor. These minute victories stack like bricks until your confidence stands fortress tall. A neuroscientist call it self-efficacy. Dale Carnegie called it the habit of affirmative action. Whatever the label, and each deliberate deed convinces your subconscious that you are a person who moves first, doubts later. Now step into the arena boardroom classroom, and zoom rectangle, and open with a question swivels the spotlight toward your audience. It can be as simple as, what outcome would make this meeting a triumph for you? Watch posture shift forward, pupils dilate. In that instant you have transmuted passive listeners into co-authors. TikTok creators achieve the same effect by asking in frame 1. I never wondered why you forget names in seconds. The brain perks up when the narrative is about us. Leverage that reflects with clean sincerity, and you inherit a reservoir of attention that most speakers bleed out within 30 seconds. Mid-conversation, deploy the oldest yet rarest magic in persuasion. Pause. Let silence stretch just long enough for your words to echo against the canyon walls of thought. Abraham Lincoln mastered this timing. He scattered pauses like stepping stones so his audience could cross from agreement to conviction on their own feet. A pause carries confidence. A ramble reeks of insecurity. Remember, your sentence ends, but its reverberation continues writing inside another person's mind. Give it rooms. When resistance emerges, and if the idea is worthy, it will honor it. Say, help me see what I'm missing. This single sentence transforms debate into collaborations. Netflix's feedback culture thrives because employees are trained to prize candor over comfort. They know that steel is tempered, not pampered. Invite opposing views with gratitude, and your credibility ascends a tier no some bullet can reach. Onward to storytelling, the Trojan horse of influence. Data informs, logic convinces, but story converts. Suppose you need budget approval for a mental health initiative. You could cite absenteeism statistics. Or you could share the night you found a colleague staring blankly at a spreadsheet and shoulders trembling, confessing she hadn't slept in 3 days. Numbers engage the mind, stories hijack the heart. Fuse them, and you possess a double-edged sword. Discipline slices away the excuses that creep in after the meeting ends. Follow up within 24 hours. Summarize agreements, and assign owners set dates. Each prompt response is a brick in the tower of trust. Andrew Carnegie penned handwritten notes to partners the same evening a deal closed, while ink was still drying on their curiosities. As speed implies respect, neglect leaks influence like a punctured canteen in the desert. Yet, even perfect follow-through will collide with unforeseen storms. A supplier fails, a child falls ill, an algorithm buries your campaign. Here resilience morphs into adaptability. Instead of lamenting, ask Carnegie's favorite pivot. How can we turn this to our advantage? Maybe the supply shortage pushes you to local artisans, enriching community goodwill. And maybe the algorithm change forces you to diversify platforms, shielding future reach. In every setback, a hunt for the sliver of sovereignty still within your grasp. Seize it. As you iterate, maintain a learner's humility. Tour a factory outside your industry. Audit a university class. Bing, read biographies of people who failed spectacularly before they soared. Ponder how Satya Nadella devoured neuroscience papers to understand empathy at a cellular level. The broader your knowledge lattice, the more creative associations your mind will spark in a conversation, inspiring remarks that feel uncannily insightful. Night falls again. The city lights wink like tired souls needing acknowledgement. Sit with a journal and list 3 interactions where you witnessed someone's hidden excellence. And the cashier who diffused an irate customer, the intern whose concise spreadsheet saved hours, the friend who listened without glancing at their phone. Send each a note, 30 words of pure, specific praise, and you have now etched your name alongside a surge of dopamine in their brain, and that association will outlive any PowerPoint deck you designed. Now let tomorrow's dawn find you poised for the climactic test, the speech, the pitch, the vow. See the room before it fills. Imagine air vibrating with potential. Braid in for 4 counts, envisioning your message entering every seat like sunlight pouring through stained glass. When the moment arrives, and step forward with a smile that signals, we are already friends, we simply haven't spoken yet. Begin with their name, their struggle, with their dream. Speak from the belly, not the throat. Vary tempo, let some sentences gallop, others linger like incense. And paint metaphors vivid as fireworks, tell them influence is a boomerang. You cannot throw it without first gripping it by the blade, and let them taste your beliefs. Then, like a maestro guiding the final crescendo, drop to a near whisper. Invite them to picture the cost of inaction. A year from now, doors still closed, hearts still unheard. Then paint the reward of action so bright it outshines fear. Finish not with a polite thank you, but with a rousing summons, join me. Lend your talent, your voice, your relentless curiosity, and together we will tilt the axis of ordinary. Hold the silence 1 heartbeat longer than comfort allows, smile, and step back. In that silence, decisions are made, destinies shuffle, lights fade. Credits will never roll, for influence has no end title. Yet somewhere, someone is already repeating your words to a coiled, a stranger. The chain reaction has begun. And you walk into the night unburdened, because you finally understand the most persuasive force in the world is not power. It is precise, purposeful human connection. Speak so people listen, and act somewhere. A receptionist who has spent years as wallpaper to every passer, by suddenly hears her name spoken with genuine warmth, and feels her shoulders rise, as if granted permission to exist at full height. She will carry that lift into every phone call she answers today, and every caller will feel the invisible ripple of your decision to see her. Influence is contagion, passed hand to hand, and smile to smile, transmuting faceless crowds into a network of awakened individuals. And Dale Carnegie warned that indifference is the rust of society. You are now the oil that keeps humanity's gears turning. Do not misjudge the scale of small encounters. The steel empire that stretched from Pittsburgh to the Pacific was born because a young Andrew Carnegie treated his telegraph supervisor with deference instead of fear, and in return was taught the advanced codes that made him indispensable. Every QWERTY is a key you might press into an unknown lock years from now. Keep your keyring full, and say thank you to airport custodians, praise a coder on GitHub whose snippet saved you hours, and tag an aspiring artist whose illustration sparked your presentations. And each gesture deposits trust in a global bank account that compounds faster than any cryptocurrencies. Understand this attention is the new gold rush. Digital platforms mine it ruthlessly, but the true load lies offline. In the unmonetized focus one human grants another. When you ask, what dream keeps you awake at night, and remain silent until the answer unfurls, you give a gift rarer than money. And the Roman philosopher Seneca wrote that we are tight-fisted with coins yet squander minutes. Ironically, minutes are the currency that buys the future. Spend yours on others, and they will invest theirs in your visions. Yet gifting attention is only step 1. Step 2 is shaping that attention into collaborative momentum. Picture a dimly lit garage in 1976, Jobs and Wozniak soldering circuit boards, fueled not by cash but by the electricity of shared obsession. Your role is to ignite that spark in every room you enter. Use narrative tension. Set stakes high. Paint the chasm between current pain and future triumph. Then hand your listener the bridge. You and I, you say, will lay the first beam together, tonight. Urgency plus partnership equals actions. The skeptics will roll their eyes, citing time, budget, bureaucracy. Listen, nod. Paraphrase their worry so precisely they feel X-rayed, then pivot. What if we pilot on a scale that costs nothing but proves everything? Reducing the ask shrinks resistance. And Carnegie taught that persuasion is rarely a battering ram. It is water patiently carving canyons through stones. Guard yourself, however, from the parasite of worry that feeds on unresolved tasks. The cure is motion. Write an exact first next step, one phone call, one email, and execute within 5 minutes. A worry cannot coexist with purposeful movement. It evaporates in the heat of doing. Make this a ritual whenever anxiety spikes, and break it into a physical action you can perform before the clock's minute hand moves again. Leadership at its zenith is transferring this anti-worry discipline to others. Hold a stand-up meeting where each person names a single blocker, then commits to a micro step before lunch. Celebrate completion publicly, no matter how small. Progress is addictive. Dose your team daily until forward motion becomes reflex. Still, pace yourself. Intensity without recovery calcifies into burnout. Carnegie recommended deliberate rest, walks among trees, pages of poetry, because a mind relaxed is a mind receptive. Bookending your days with reflection renews the narrative of gratitude. Journal not only victories but the names behind them. Reread that roll call when exhaustion whispers lies about fighting alone. As night deepens, envision tomorrow's interactions like chess openings. Prepare compliments truer than surface flatteries. Identify the exact insight in a colleague's memo that sharpened your strategy. Cite the timestamp in a teammate's video edit where emotion peaked. Specificity transforms praise into proof, and generic approval is confetti caught by the wind. Precise recognition is an engraved plaque hung in the halls of memory, forever linked to your names. Now look farther ahead. Imagine the child of someone you mentored standing on a graduation stage, and recounting how your encouragement 20 years prior unlocked their parents' potential. That is legacy, a domino you tip today that tumbles through decades unseen. Legacy is not an accident, it is a blueprint. And draft yours in actions measurable this week. Host a feedback session, launch a learning stipend, volunteer to listen at a crisis line. And each is a brick in a monument that time itself will struggle to erode. We approach the summit of this narrative. The heartbeat grows louder, echoing through iron ribs of subway tunnels, glass atriums of tech campuses, quiet kitchens where midnight oil still burns. Millions wait, fatigued by slogans, hungry for authenticity sharp enough to slice through their skepticism. The stage is set, the spotlight circling, and you adjust your jacket, feel the rough pulse in your throat, and realize trembling is not fear, it is voltage. Step into it. Let the first words fall like hammer strikes, concise, tactile, alive with verbs. Build. Let's heal. Let's dare. Verbs mobilize, nouns memorialize. Speak verbs. Unspool your story. And the receptionist, the steelworkers, the teenage coder on TikTok distilling a minute of kindness into viral alchemy. And show your audience they already inhabit a world where empathy outperforms aggression, where questions outweigh commands, and where listening eclipses shouting. They will recognize their reflection and lean closer. Then, in the hush that follows, reveal the cost of silence. A quote the unpublished letter Lincoln shelved. Imagine if rage had mailed that missive, fracturing morale on the eve of battle. Invoke the phone call you never made to a struggling friend, and how the regret still presses against your ribs like cold iron. Pause, and silence becomes a mirror. They will see their own unsent letters, unspoken apologies, unoffered praise. In that vulnerable reflection lies your leverage. Invite them to choose differently now. At last, vault into the crescendo. Raise your hand, not in a politician's wave, but in a conductor's final cue. Declare with unwavering calm, from this moment forward, we speak names like prayers, ask questions like explorers, and give praise like torchbearers. We turn worry into work, critique into courage, strangers into allies. And when the doubters mumble that words are cheap, we will answer with outcomes. A marathon of finished bridges, healed divisions, we thriving teams. We will speak so people listen and act. Hold the note, let it reverberate through marrow, and when the air is thick with irrevocable decision, release them. The screen fades to black, but the heartbeat continues, in their chests, in yours. Syncopated proof that somewhere between silence and speech you lit the fuse of transformations. The final echo hangs, a trembling cord suspended in the dark, while it lingers. You inhale the quiet and feel something shift, subtle, irreversible, like tectonic plates beneath an ocean. You know, in this instant, that eloquence is never the end goal, its purpose is ignition. A spark without flame is wasted breath, and flame without fuel dies as quickly as applause. But you possess both, words that awaken and the will to keep them burning. So begin the transfer of heat. Close this video and open a messaging app. Type one sentence of sincere praise to person who least expects it. Press send before hesitation resurrects. Next, scroll to the oldest unanswered email in your inbox. Draft a reply that starts with their name, addresses their need, and offers one actionable path forward. Hit send. Feel the current surge outward, branching into circuits you cannot trace. Stand up. Walk to a mirror. Look yourself in the eye and state aloud the single behavior you will practice for the next 7 days. Whether it is greeting every colleague by name, replacing complaint with a constructive question, or recording your voice until clarity sings. Speak it, believe it, schedule it. Your calendar must now become a catalog of promises kept. Finally, mark your wall or phone with today's date and a blank tally beside it. Each evening, add one line for every life you lifted through attentive presence or courageous praise. Watch the tally multiply, like stars blinking alive on a once-empty sky. In 1 month, share the sheet with a friend and challenge them to outnumber you. An influence compounds fastest when gamified, because human pride loves the taste of noble competitions. And should doubt surface tomorrow, if a cold shoulder greets your warmth or a sarcastic scoff greets your vision, remember Lincoln's unsent letter. As Schwab's chalked 6. Nadella's empathy metrics. Great persuaders are not immune to resistance. They are simply immune to surrender. Pause, breathe, pivot, persist. Every setback is an audition for the role of resilient leader, and claim the part. Now the heartbeat that opened our journey fades into yours alone. The screen stays black, but behind your eyes the world brightens with untold conversations, waiting to be spoken into action. Do not let them wait. Do not let this voice become another forgotten echo in the archive of good intentions. Step out, right now, into the corridor, the street, the feed, wherever human voices mingle, and test your new power. Speak so people listen, and act